Hello and welcome, Katy here. Thanks so much for stopping by. I am back with another project for Miss Ink Stamps, and today we're going to use our stencils to create a stained glass effect on our cards. Super easy. The longest part about this is the dry time, but it's fun and it gives a new way to use your stencils. So the only thing that you need is a stencil that's open. So you see all these open spaces. That's what you're looking for this technique, is that type of stencil, something that's open. I'm going to use the Duralar, and that's how thick it is, 0.005. Now the Lawn Fawn is a little bit thicker, 0.007. If you need to use it like within a card base, use the Lawn Fawn. If you're going to use it like a window like I'm using, use the Duralar. The Lawn Fawn is going to give more stability. That's the only difference. It's a thicker acetate. And then, of course, you need some dye inks. We've got Gloss Heavy Gel. If you have something from Ranger, just make sure that it says it dries transparent, preferably a gloss, because that's going to give you the shine and that glass-like look. Now, I'm showing you here that on the Liquitex, it tells you if you got a white square, it's going to dry clear. If it's got a black square, it's going to dry opaque. So you won't be able to see through it. So you want clear. It's got to dry transparent or clear, and it will say it on the package. Okay, so now I'm going to use some pixie spray, and I've got my acetate there. That's just the liner that comes in there to protect it. And then I'm going to burnish that down onto the stencil so that I can get a good, clean impression when I do my my medium spread, if you will. So take a little bit out. This is a smaller piece, so I didn't need quite as much gel, but sometimes you need more than you think. So you can separate it out, which is what I'm going to do. The only thing here, you want to use a dye ink. So whatever medium you use to color it, make sure that it's going to dry clear. So you could use, if you have tubes of watercolor paint, you could use those because they dry clear. If you have gouache, don't use that. It dries opaque. Best example I can give you. Re-inkers, you could use those. Pigment powders, you can use those because the medium dries clear. The problem with using gouache with this medium is that the gouache has white pigment ink, or white pigment in it, so it makes it dry opaque. So you don't want to put something opaque in the transparent medium because it's going to take on whatever you're adding to it. So just make sure whatever medium you use to color your paste or your gel, it's clear. It's got to dry clear. Okay, so now you can see I'm mixing it up. That's the other thing. Mix thoroughly. Because the gel dries clear, if you don't mix it all thoroughly with the pigment, then whatever spots didn't get the pigment, it's going to dry clear and you won't get the full color payoff. So just make sure you mix it really well. The other thing about the Liquitex that I'm using is, you can see it's kind of thinned and dried. I had a hair in there, so I'm just digging that out with some tweezers, is that this will clean up with water. So once I get all done, I'll scrape everything off and take my extra medium, put it back in my jar, and then I'll just spritz everything down with water. Have to do that a couple of times till I get it all cleaned up, but water will clean it up. I don't have to use alcohol or anything special to get this off. I do have a tub set off to the side with some water so that I can throw my stencils and my tools in, and they can kind of soak and keep wet while I'm working on everything and getting my work surface cleaned up once I'm done here. So I'm really just trying to blend these colors together. So that's all I'm doing. You can get as detailed and as intricate as you want with your colors. You could do just one color if you wanted to. I thought I would just try a couple of different colors, and see where we got. So here's the peel reveal. If you want it to be opaque like that, use paste. Use something that's, says that it dries opaque. So now our panel's dry. We're going to start doing our windows. Excuse me. I've got a hex die, and I ran that through the die cutting machine. Now I'm going to trace this out and actually run my card base through the scan and cut to cut this piece out for my card base, because I just don't want to ruin it. Sometimes when you run things through, you get lines from the other cutting pads and things like that, and I just didn't want to ruin my card base. So it was easy enough to just run it through the scan and cut. And now I'm just taking an eraser to clear up any pencil lines that are there but not there, and it also kind of smooths out the edges from cutting it. Now, 1/4 inch double-sided adhesive. The only mistake I made here was I should have trimmed these edges off a little bit, because on the sides, they just hang off a smidge. Up close, you can see that there's, the acetate is there, but it's not a big deal. So now we're going to start layering everything together. This is actually 1/2 inch double-sided adhesive for this inside panel. And then, I can't not have a sentiment on my front of my card, but because I don't want to cover the window, I can stamp on the inside with some VersaFine Claire Nocturne ink, and you can see right through. So these are the other 2 cards that I did. I took that egg-shaped die and just traced it, ran it through the scan and cut that out. And then I used the Quatrefoil stencil and did the same thing, traced it and cut it out with the scan and cut. Now the stencils that I used for the egg shape was Floral Stained Glass, and then the Latte Lace is in the Quatrefoil in the purple. And those are the colors that I used, all from Lavinia Stamps. And then, of course, I used all the stamping was done with the Nocturne ink. Now, the extra heavy gloss gel I did in the purple, and it was kind of old and really super thick. So it's hard to tell if it was because of the darker colors that I used, or if the paste was just, a little off. But that's going to wrap it up, my friends. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Be sure and check the description box below for all the products used. And check out Missing Stamps Facebook group and follow us over there. We love to see what you guys are making. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you in the next video.